Okay, here's our controller pile. I was sent 18 controllers total. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different models. I will review them. I will go over some of the features that each of them have, and then I will decide which ones I'm gonna keep, and then I'll give a bunch away. Thanks to Hot for sending these over. Today, I have a bunch of other models. This is the T model. This is T13. So when I call models 13th or 16, then that refers to the amount of buttons that they have. They come with a little sheet that says on here what every button is mapped to, and if you want to configure anything, you want to know where anything is, you want to like use the website, etc, 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 compatibility, there's a little chart up here. When you plug these bad boys in, this LED comes on and it tells you what SOCD mode you're in. If you want, you can make the image that appears there anything you want. So there's boots. I can change what this is. You can change the RGB loadout. You can change the SOCD settings. The reason this is all customizable is because of this little board they have over here that's on the side. This is called GP2040. They allow you to be PS5 compatible with an exterior converter. So you just plug a converter into the USB on the side here. A lot of companies now are using the GP2040. It's a Raspberry Pi that's custom, an open source thing that has a bunch of SOCD settings built in. The person who made it was in here last time when I was talking about these. It's really cool. How hard is it to change the buttons? You mean like the buttons themselves? They just snap right out, and then this is that's what the thing looks like. If you want to pull out the switch, it should be pretty easy. And you can probably find plenty of caps that are compatible with this already. So the first one, the little guy. This is a keycap puller, I think. Yeah, keycap puller, replacement switch, a little mini screwdriver. This is the cable. Plug in the controller. They all come with the USB-C cable. I was using the same cable for both controllers. And the little guy. All of them are like this, by the way. So this is the small one. This is the Mixbox style layout. This is what it is, a little hot board. It's got the keyboard Mixbox layout slightly shifted to the side. The noise. If you want to know how big it is, it's slightly bigger than my phone. I don't know if I would play with this on my lap. It's so small. I never played with this Mixbox layout. Okay, let's try. Korean backdashing. Oh god. Oh, I hit the, oh, I see. I hit the thing over there. It's so tiny. Yep. So this is the tiniest option that we have today. I think everything else is bigger than this option. It's also pretty cheap, right? Do you guys know the price on this? This one's like 30 bucks. Oh my god. Next on the list, this hot board is the one you just saw if we went sicko mode. It has extra keys, as you can see. We got some paddles there at the bottom if you want to map those. There's some extra buttons on the side. So this is the same kind of idea, same concept, right? But more buttons. It's a bigger size. LEDs. It's also on the side, the plug-in. What are these mapped to by default? Up, and then this one is empty. This is left stick in, or right stick in. Whoa, the layout is much wider. So it's harder to like reach over and do like an extended, this kind of like use your fingers. Oops, wow, there's so many extra buttons. I keep hitting on accident. Oh God, you see that? I would definitely have to change the buttons. I normally don't play on something that has extra buttons anyway, so that would probably like take me time to get used to no matter what, I think. Oh, it's up here. Wow, that's so odd. Cool controller. I think very, very interesting. But for me, probably too many buttons. Same kind of functionality. Again, it's got GP2040. The board is up here, so you can make it PS5 compatible by using an extra converter for like 20 bucks or whatever. Extra cable, and then keycap pullers and stuff like that. And then they come in these little baggies. Okay, moving on. The third smallest. This one is not released yet. This is a board that they've shown off, and it has not come out yet. This is the P12. This is a traditional 12 button leverless normal layout. Hands on. This is what the buttons sound like. USB on the side here for the GP2040 converter, and then on the opposite end is the USB-C. Probably closer to a snack box size, but a little boxier, I would say. The LEDs come on, and then also the screen, the OLED up here, this one comes on. And then this one says, let's see, it's X input right now, and then it says SOCD neutral. So this is left, this is right. Together, it's neutral. Down plus up, neutral. This one is like definitely more comfortable for my hands. If you're used to a snack box, it's gonna feel similar-ish. Like if I line up where the buttons are, you see that the layout is like Slightly more shallow maybe than a snack box layout, but honestly pretty similar with the buttons lineup. 12 button layouts are usually what I'm looking for, but this is a really cool little model. Okay, next up. Oh yeah, you guys have seen this one before. This is the S16 little guy here. Very, very small. Very similar to the P12 that we just looked at, but even smaller. I mean, look at the amount of buttons on this thing. Above your left hand and below your left hand, and then below your right hand and above your right hand. There's an extra button. So 16 buttons on this thing if you want to slap, you know, different commands on or whatever. You want to see what your SOCD settings are, they're here. And then there's customizable, programmable LEDs as well. So it depends on what your interest is for, like, if you want to use extra buttons or anything. But yeah, the other thing is if you're like, oh, these are going to get in the way of stuff or whatever, you can just turn them off. Like, you can turn off this button, you can turn off this button, you can turn off this button, whatever one you actually want to use. These days, the extra buttons are a big sell. If you've seen like Daigo's controller as an example or something, he uses a shit ton. It's got all the features you know and love from these things. Okay, we're down to 2, by the way. The M is kind of the second biggest. The biggest one is the T model, the one that I already have, which is very similar in shape and size to the Kitsune. This is the most expensive one also. I think it comes in close to $100. The M model. Obviously, when you hold it, it feels very different than the rest. It is very nice. This thing is very solid. It's much heavier than the other ones. The top has the USB, and so this is the USB-C in the middle. It's like right here, and then the USB for the converter is right here. There is an LED in the back. Yeah, it's a little, you might have to see, it depends on the angle, but you can see that it's changing color. Same thing up here. It says X input, SOCD neutral. Nice feeling. The buttons feel good. You can hear from the noise. They're quite a bit what's the right description for these? Chonkier. Your hands on it, it definitely feels a little cold because they're metal, but it does feel very nice. It's a nice feeling controller. It has cool functionality. Much like the Kitsune, I already see my hands are streaking on this thing. Similar vibe to the Kitsune. Very easy to leave the fingerprints on here very fast. Yeah, this one's nice. This is definitely a more expensive model. The thing is that I would generally recommend Hauts as I'm not sure if I want to buy a leverless. So it's a really cheap way to try them out, right? So like if you're a mouse and keyboard player and you want to buy like the little fight box thing I was showing earlier, it's great. If you want to buy something that's like, okay, I'm going to spend 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks to try a leverless and see if I like it. And then if I don't like it, I don't have to use it, etc. Then, you know, that's it. This is something that's it starts to get a little bit more pricey. This is similar to the price of all of their competitors. This is the black on black. There's also a silvery white version of this. You can feel the difference, I think, specifically on like the Plexi models. They feel like they're a little sharp, you know, on the edges. They're not the cleanest cut. They're not the most pleasant on your hands all the time. Sometimes there's a little like, ooh, but they are really nice, especially for the price. Like, it's hard to argue with the price that they're offering, correct? And the M model feels super nice. That was the M model. This is the biggest model. It's the T16. I own the T13. Same kind of finish that you've seen on the other controllers. Again, if I plug it in, LEDs go ham, SOCD settings up here, and X input, or you can put your cat or your dog or your Chipotle or whatever you want to do up there. Like we have the boots board. If you're looking for a large leverless, you don't have super small hands. To me, the best option they have is the T13. By comparison, there's only one extra buttons at the top on the opposite side of my hand holding it. Versus the 16, which has 3 additional buttons. But this model right here, the T13, this is what I would recommend bang for your buck if you want a larger size. Getting extra buttons, there's no downside because you could always just turn them off. You could always make them not function if you don't want to use them. But yeah, this is the T16. I'm not even going to demonstrate because I already did a review of the T13 in my last video, and I've plugged in all the controllers and hit some buttons. You guys know what it looks like. But yeah, this thing is really cool. This is one of every kind of model. It looks like this. I got the leaning tower of controllers all boxed back up. I have to figure out which ones I'm keeping and which ones I'm going to give away. So I'll have to update you guys about what I want. And every controller, they sent me multiple of like every controller. So what I'm going to do is a little bit of outreach. I'm going to see if anybody who played in my tournament who's LA based, who didn't get a controller already, if anybody who wants one. And then I'm going to see what I'm going to keep for my own wares, things that I think are cool to own or have. Afterwards, we're going to do a bunch of giveaways. The market has shifted away. There's really not arcade sticks being produced as much anymore. Leverlesses are the current era of what people are producing. and arcade sticks are going to be less and less and less popular. With Tekken, I've heard a lot of people say, like, it depends on the inputs. Some things are way easier, like electrics are really easy on Leverless and Tekken, but then some things are harder. Leverlesses in Street Fighter are extremely powerful because of the movement in the game. Any game that has 2D movement where you just go left and right is really good on Leverless. And for Strive, dash blocking on Leverless is, yeah, it's a noticeable huge difference. I think the hardest thing for me is 720 inputs or like 1080 inputs, not 360s. I think 360s are fine, but the more we get away from motions like that, the more games design away from them, the more powerful I think leverlesses are. Because when the game is just raw movement, a game like 2XKO with no motion inputs, leverless is like very useful for that, right? Because your dash blocking will be extremely clean because hitting left and right plus dash macro is really, really, really easy on leverless. Can I get a closer look at the skateboard? You mean the cat or the skateboard? Because he's up there, all right. He already knocked down and broke my statue, my Kimberly. So, you know, the big lad. He's like 12 pounds. He's like a 12-pound cat.